Welcome to Impossible Bodies.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in this evening. I'm Alessandro, and a couple of weeks ago, I had the chance to have a chat with Gabber Modus Operandi, Ikan, and Kasimin over Zoom as well. So we recorded our talk, which is about 45 minutes long. During this talk, I had a few set of vague question or directions that were linked to the future of music, the music that they make, but also to where does this music come from? So like the background influences and limitations that they were facing in Bali. We've been talking quite casually about the daily life as well, and how they've been producing music the last couple of years, and more recently the last couple of months, maybe during those difficult circumstances. So that has definitely that has definitely appeared in our talk. So that's what we're going to be watching in the first time. So like we're going to be watching this 45-minute video. After that, I will shortly be coming back in. And that would be the occasion for you, if you have any questions or remarks that you'd like to share with me. I would like to do like the Q&A, and after that there will be a live set of Gabber Modus Operandi. So here we can start now with the video that we've recorded. Enjoy. All right, so I'm here today with the amazing music producers Gabber Modus Operandi, Ikan and Cass. I'm Tristan Deschamps, a curator based in Berlin, and I was invited to moderate this talk. So we're going to talk about music and the music that you make today. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Ichan Harem. I'm a dancer and a provocateur from Modus Operandi.
Hello, I'm Kasimin, the producer, and yeah, thank you.
Where are you guys right now, actually? Because you're not together in the same room, so where are you respectively?
We kind of separated like 45 minutes away. It's in the same city in Denpasar, but it's pretty much, it's like a 45 minutes, Chan.
Mm-hmm. And then right now I'm in my studio in this certain area in the east called Sanur. Kas, it was in the northern area of Bali. It was called Tibu Benang. That's what like we actually at the moment.
Okay, and is this a studio that you have that you share with other artists, or is it your own studio just for you? Oh.
For me, this is
right
my
now,
house. Sorry, this is my house. Like this is the second floor that the house that I rent. So basically, it's just me and my girlfriends.
Okay. Cool. And so I wanted to talk to you about the fact that I think that in your music, there is something that is really open towards the future. So like towards tomorrow, but it also comes from, so I was trying to formulate it to make sense for myself about what it means. And I was thinking, is this like would you say it's a reappropriation of Indonesian cultural background, or is it a reinterpretation? So is it claiming back or creating it anew for you?
What is it, Chan?
It's actually what we try to present. It's for sure is representing of our cultural, and then, but again, we don't want to in this frame like we kinda state like reappropriation also. or even like interpretation, because like what we actually did, because we perverting our culture.
Yeah, it's more like maybe one of the things that we found out that it's actually like a post-colonialism mentality, and corruption is the one that killed the culture, you know. Like so our generation try to to connect whatever people call it, like back to roots or whatever, but somehow it's just lost. It's just like either you need to make your own language to connect it to your
They
identity.
understand.
Yeah, because it's so broken for us. Like we are part of the leftover of the crazy regime of Suharto. That culture, the word culture, unless you talk about like a holistication of stuff or tourism. So in both way, uh, we live in the internet, and then like Ichan, basically like contemporary artists, and the way we try to have discussion, it's pretty much not structural, you know. Like I don't know if you know, but at least in Southeast Asia, the museum is so, even the museum is corrupt, you know. Like if you want to go to the museum to learn something, and it's like it's just destroyed. So I think it's just like it's not only us, for sure. Like the wave of the Chinese kids doing it. It's more like try to reconnect with our own way, I think.
Okay, but because you
Yeah, I think like what?
sorry, go ahead.
No, just like the way, like because like the background itself, like what is culture, we actually don't know. Like what is culture, Indonesian culture, like what we try to, what it is, like we actually personally like don't know. The way what we digging the culture itself, it's coming from the internet. Not be, of course, like even like Kas said, if you talk about the museum, we don't have here like the presentation of what is culture by like presenting by museum. We don't have. And even the arting, like even all the archiving, it's stolen, right, from the colonial. So we don't know like how to translate this like also in culture way. So what we do, like we just digging it by internet, was actually right now every
It's the
kids like
museum.
sharing. Yeah, like sharing
The internet is the museum, you know.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful because if I can add, like it's so beautiful because it doesn't really, we don't really have a source until at least like in the last 4 years about like about most of the stuff, because Indonesia is consists of 10,000 islands, you know. Like to connect people is really hard, and of course internet is there, but it's still expensive. But there is a moment when, you know, all the cheap Chinese phone, the knockoff one, like iPhone 22 or something, you know, and it's accessible to the people. And then internet start to be like really adopted to like marginal levels. And this is the people that make content now. This is our museum. This is the people that sharing knowledge about like the stuff that we really want to to be part of. So like Ichan said, is like if there is no internet, the 4G and then the cheap Chinese phone, I don't think we go this far because there is no references at all. But it's so chaotic also in the same way, you know, because like the content is like really like all over the place. So that's why like we to be honest, like we don't really know what is what. If you have a step by step 1 to 10, we don't really know because it's pretty organic and fun and but chaotic at the same time.
Okay, so like if I get it, it's like this explosion with like mobile data and accessibility for everyone to use it. It's culture like in the making, constantly adding from this explosion that kind of is also represented geographically with all this island and everybody streaming or publishing constantly online, and then you can dig through it and just okay. That's super interesting. And because one thing also that was about like control and appropriation that I find in your music is that, so you make fast-paced music, and the fact that like for some people, I mean, I know it has this impact on me, then it is going faster and faster, or it's going fast, and then some things that you cannot really control. So it brings you like to this losing control. And it's, for me, it was a bit, when I'm listening to your music, for example, in Berlin, you know, and I know some people have like, you're losing control on your life, kind of, when you live maybe in a big city, because always on to the next thing, and you're just going one thing after the next, and you don't have control anymore. And that's a bit like with the music, that you're losing control, losing yourself to the music. But then I was thinking that it goes to such an extent that you are regaining control. It allows you to regain control because it's going that fast. Does that make sense, or is it me reading too much into it?
No, I think, yeah, I mean, aligned with that, the thing that we also talks about, like, this is like mostly Gambo, is that our dialogue. It's like the reflection is of our dialogue together for like years. And as we also grow up in the club scene, we kind of like talk about the identity in club scene, that why things not going faster, why things not going.
Guys, I think we're not growing in the club scene. We growing up in the club tourism.
Exactly.
Presentation. Like, there is no club scene in Bali, except all the club is for tourism, and all the music they serve is for tourism. And the
but we think before, we think that's the club scene. That's the thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's
how it really works.
It's a club scene.
Like, I think how the post-colonialism work, like, you don't realize that you're inside it, right? It's like, oops, it's too deep. But yeah, one thing that we learned, like, it's like, we actually, like, technically we simplify everything into the scales of Indonesian old music, which is pelok and slendro, and we add but like both of us like really into like hard stuff, and somehow that kind of like it's kind of making a point that how gamelan and the old music really works well, because they use only like 5 notes, stuff like that. We don't really know, because we don't sample gamelan also. We're just using the scales to play that kind of notes, and then the intensity. And we live in Bali, that we're surrounded by really fast gamelan music, that most of the ritual also end up being trance. So there is a lot of conversation like, are we really need drugs? Or what kind of drugs, you know, that kind of stuff. Because somehow we also think that even the club or the drugs or it's just not it's just, I'm sorry, but somehow it's a passage to us to what you said, like we want to get release of something, right?
Yeah.
At least it's in our perspective. So combining with the idea of like, you live in Berlin, right?
Yeah.
And you know how many people wants to be Berliner in Bali?
Yeah.
I'm from Berlin. I play tech house. Like, man, like 90% of them.
No. Whenever we met like someone like been living in Berlin, and they name or they claiming them, like they said, is underground club music. And of course, as we live in Bali and never go to Berlin, and we translate that, that underground club music in Berlin, it's
so boring.
Tech house. You know why it's like so like, and then like that's why like we like that kind of language is always coming, and someone always like coming from Europe and claiming themselves as an underground musician, and whatever, it's the contact and the contents, it's like reckless as me and Kas, I was like, why? And suddenly all the kids and our friends like being that kind of Berlin persona.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's like also like why everyone want to be such a European DJ or such this white or let's say it's like white centrist DJ, blah blah blah. That's why like
Even
why also in the way where like we presenting the fast. I think like that's the only also is a part of our language to make it different with another perspective of like what is underground Berlin DJ could be.
and also I think it's affecting a lot with the body movement. Like not only we tired of this kind of concept, but we also tired with the way people move on it, because it's so sterile. You know, it makes people don't, because that's why we release our first video is just about people that get trance, right?
Yeah.
And you don't really know what the fuck happens. Like, to be honest, we don't even know, but we want to feel that, to like we pervert to know why and how, and in the end both of us is so jealous to be one of that guy in the video, that how they're really part of that, you know.
But do you believe so, like in the video Dosabe, like do you believe that the people that in those documentary footages that you pieced together to make the video, do you think that they're really in a state of trance where they kind of dive into it, or is it because they've seen other people do it and they kind of force themselves to react to those movements, and then you kind of convince yourself that you're in trance, but maybe, or do you think they're really in a state of trance that is induced by the music and the repetitive movements?
We don't know.
I believe like, because like, well, there is a certain of like for sure like I said, like every ending rituals in Bali, whenever we know, it's ending up with trance, and I saw it in front of my, I don't know like what they thinking for sure, but I believe some energy in there make they like build like lost their conscious, and then they just into what they feel. Because that what I saw, it was like in front of the temple, someone just stabbing the keris, which is actually like certain of weapon on the neck, like, and they just get really like, you know, get into it, get really into the vibes, and that's all. Like suddenly the body system like just like happen, and then that's all the performance of the trance is get intense and affecting another people and another people.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
well, it's funny because like also Kas said, like in the Dosa Besar video, most of the comment we saw is like, what drugs they use, right? And then like that's like also like what the question for us, like what we're processing right now, like, did we actually need drugs to that?
Exactly. You know, even
or if the content of the club music is only drugs, maybe it's already over.
Yeah.
Is if we said like modern music, future music, like, you know, like club music is like equal drugs, blah blah blah. Maybe we should questioning again. Did we actually need drugs for that in the future?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And Cass, you said something because you mentioned gamelan, and I was also listening to gamelan on my own, maybe also before listening to you or discovering your music. But I noted a sentence down that you said in an interview with Electronic Beats, the German magazine, and you said how gentle and warm a gamelan can be while being so hard and piercing. And you have this duality that you find in your music because you make art music. It's art, like it sounds art. You cannot, if someone that doesn't listen to your music, you put headphones on, and who doesn't listen to necessarily the kind of music you make, it would be like a bit of a shock. It comes as a, you need to sit down and kind of try to understand it. And you have this first really hard approach, but at the same time, I think that in your music, you have what I was saying at the beginning of the conversation, that is open towards the future. And by that, I mean also like there is a kind of kindness in the music, you know, a bit like, not that you give absolution to people, a bit like in a mass, you know, but almost to that point, you know what I mean? That there is kindness and openness. And even though it sounds hard, some music sounds hard and you feel a bit scared or like want to push away from it. But with your music, I have the feeling that it's, you have this kindness. And I thought that the sound of the gamelan is also maybe having this duality, you know? So like this tension between hard but soft. Does that make sense, or is it also?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know, but yeah, man. I mean, like most of us, like really have a privilege to live in Bali. You know, to enjoy the noise and to be near to the beach and then hang out with the gamelan people, and then like what Ichan said, like all of them, most of them, as far as we know, always end up to the trance. And even though none of us like really religious, or even none of us is like believe in the Hindus god like Balin is doing, it just what do you call it? Like it just opening. I don't know if it's answering a lot of questions that we ask or not, but for sure it gives us a new perspective, like what we said before, like what we're doing actually in club is actually ritualistic ideas, like most of the people are basically just want to be together and then release something, and I don't know, have this absurd agreement about stuff and then lost control. And but the difference thing is like we really now, at least we're really familiar that there is a lost language that maybe, and we're still saying maybe. That's why the idea when Ichan throw like, let's make a fast music, and I have this kind of gamelan, and it's just like, okay, let's just throwing things together. But in the same time, like what I said about gamelan, it could be really gentle and it could be really piercing. And the idea of really piercing also is not really intentional, you know. It's like because so many people hit the same note in the same time, it could be like really noisy, and you cannot play gamelan alone. You need at least minimum 2 people with you, so you know that happens, you know. So the idea of being communal, it's really affecting us also. And yeah, my point is it's so funny that our dialogue become our experimentation of stuff, and kind of like I don't know if it's looking back, but or looking forward, but we always try to not submit it to the idea of what we lost this language in the first. Like we don't really want to be, we don't want to talk about like culture or preservation or wearing traditional. We don't want that, because like you see in Dosa Besar also. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. No, I was just going to say, because it's actually perfect that you say that, because it's diving into my next kind of questions that I had, because I have the feeling also that with what you're doing, you kind of freeing yourself from any kind of boundaries or anchor into subculture or tradition, and you just like free yourself from all of that, and you don't want to have anything to do, and you just want to do whatever is it that you do for itself.
Yeah, because I think we give a hint on Dosa Besar when we edit together, and we found out there is a people that become, we call it mau, which mean tiger. When you got possessed, like most of them
channeling with the animal spirit, you know.
Yeah, but one of them wearing Adidas sneakers, which is, that's amazing for me. Like if they wear like a traditional dress, it could belong to National Geographic or whatever museum, but these kids wearing Adidas sneaker and wearing death metal t-shirt. So like this kid put efforts to, I don't know, to still live in this era, but also having that kind of stuff in their DNA. That's what makes us really inspiring to keep questioning these things, you know.
I think it's, yeah, because like coming back again for our discussion from the first, like no one of us is actually growing up and knowing our, let's say it's like if you in the process to knowing ourselves is coming from the tradition, like the process we growing is coming from the subculture, you know, like that's like how we growing, like, and to understand what is us, what is the identity of us. It's coming from the subculture. No one is coming from the real culture. And the way right now we have like this kind of like dialogue with GMO to translate this, like you living in the subculture way, you grow in the subculture way, but in the way you always like try to find what is culture for you, what is culture impact you. And in the GMO's platform, we can use this as like our process to finding what we are, you know.
But would you say that like also growing up or like around Bali or at least starting making music within the scene where you started, like was helping? Because I remember in one of your interviews you also said that tell me if I'm wrong or if I misread it, but that there is always a lot of loud music in the street, whether it's metal or like that there is already like people or like during ceremonies where it can be quite loud. So it allows you as well to produce loud music, because I mean, you will try to make the music that you make in where I grew up in a small village in south of France, it would be really difficult. People would call the cops after 10 minutes.
Oh, dude, don't worry. If you live in Indonesia, your let's say your neighbor's gonna have a wedding, and fuck it, you're gonna go out from your house for like 2 days because it's gonna be so loud, and the police not gonna stop it. People gonna get drunk. It's basically like in Thailand also. It's like you know, at least in Southeast Asia, loudness is, I don't know, maybe I don't know, loudness is something maybe that's the only thing that to connecting with why we love this thing, and also we hate this identity also, because there is a problematic idea back then. Like gamelan was made for the kingdom, was made from the hierarchy, and we cannot do that, and we don't want to do that. We don't have this caste system. So the loud things is actually now, because I talked to PC Takun also about this when I was in Thailand, why we love loud. And maybe because that's the only thing that make you kind of equal in the term of caste. So you make the loudness as loud as possible, because in the end it's about the how much money you can put on your speakers or something, you know. So I don't know, maybe it's so the loudness that we have was actually pretty common here, and like Ichan said, we live in the subculture, which is subculture equal to death metal, which is a lot of kids listen to death metal here, like for breakfast. Like and it's a common things, like I don't know what, like, to be honest, both of us don't know really connection why metal is big in here, or loudness, or this volume, like we even talk loud, like we shout, like Ichan is talking really loud, you know.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I thought that it's because we always met in a loud environment, but maybe it's always like that.
Well, there is if you go to Bali or you go to Sumatra, like my hometown especially, me and Kas is growing up in Sumatra. The way they bought for their house is a mega speakers. That's like the best, like proud or prestige to have that in their house. Even their house is like really small, but they have like the biggest sound system ever. Well,
And they
in
gotta
Bali,
do.
in Bali, every corner we call it have like a banjar. It's like a community base in every section, every what's it called, like every district, right?
Village center is village center.
Yeah, village center,
Mm.
and every ceremonial or every there is like one day before we celebrating the silent day, which actually like part of the ceremony in Bali, is the New Year's of Bali. We have like silent day. Before we silent, all these communities put like mega sound system on this, like publicly. And
And
then
it's just
I mean, that's
loud.
why like our yeah, and super loud and super fast music, almost like Sario in Thailand. You know what's called like tung tak, tung 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 tung, and we call it funkfot. And then yeah, we call it funkfot or like Banjar music. That's what
Budot in Manila.
or Budot in this is always like similar genre. And this is like really affecting everyone like celebrating. And this is like out of what we call a club scene.
Yeah.
This is out of it. This is not serving for tourism. This is only serving for the community and the people who's enjoying and dancing on this party. For us to see this, it's more enjoyable. It's more like glory, and it's more, like it's more like honest than comparing to the club scene or club we saw on the tourist area. That's like how this like community and the loud Banjar music, it's affecting us in the creative certain of process of GMO also.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. But would you say, because so the music that you make and like so the concerts or what you facilitate for other people as Gabber Modus Operandi, would you say that you almost work? I mean, maybe it's a wrong word, but as a community service, what you do, it's like do you create a fertile ground for people to feed off and then just go their own way outside of the commercial club scene that you have in Bali?
Well, that's the funny stuff because Bali also have a really close community base. So I think we kind of more popular outside Bali. So it's just like after 2 years, people are like, oh, they're from Bali. Okay, it's kind of like because everything it's try to fit in the tourism area. So anything that couldn't be sell to the tourism, it doesn't consider as a thing,
Mm-hmm.
So even we never play in the proper club in Bali. So we played Berhad twice, but
you don't want to, or would you like to if you would be invited?
Well, we tried to ask
First,
but nobody wants.
First, no one asking. First, when we asking, they're rejecting. So like.
But also there is a funny comment also about this thing. How I just remember the idea of being loud. When you said the idea of being loud, like most of the traditional things, most of them still kind of rejecting the idea of amplification. If you think about it, this is just like a part of conversation that I have with this gamelan master. Like we don't really have reverberation of a room. We never really know rooms. So the idea of a party, at least in Indonesia that I know, it's always outdoor, because maybe the climate is really working for us to be outdoor, right? Like gamelan been for like 100 years, but maybe outside like 200 record gamelan record, it's only like 2 or 3 of them that really know how to capture the gamelan. How to miking it, because we in Indonesia in general don't really use the reverb, like in Europe you have this thing indoors and amplification. So the idea to enjoying your stuff, you need to be closer and closer to the player, and that create this kind of like more dense and more loud. So it's like really directional ideas of sounds, and it's also, I don't know, maybe that's also the things that make people kind of like lost in the way, like the trance thing, because it's like it's really, I don't know, you cannot really go to ritual and then you go like really far, 20 meters away and looking from far. It's completely missing the point. You need to be really close to whatever happens and like really tight, and then that's where the sounds come. So and most of the player also take the energy from the audience. So it's like a mutual way, how it keep build all the intensity and up to the point that everybody lost. That's what that's one of the topic that I talk about. Maybe it's interesting to you.
Yeah, no, but like I find it super interesting. But that's why I was like thinking about loudness. It's just a bit like for me that like it was also like a releasing component of your music, and it's interesting that you pull it into context from the background and how loudness works in Bali. I had also a question that is maybe a bit off, but I thought it was like coming back up. Sometimes, do you think there is like, or do you do it on purpose, that there is a humorous side to your music? Or like, because, you know, a lot of people making art music don't look so funny, you know what I mean? Like, not that, you know what I mean? They like, always like laugh or whatever, you know?
There is like we always like discuss with Kas, like in our way, if we too far away, we become a comedy and we don't want to. Like let's say like if it's too comedy, it's not fun anymore. If it's like I don't know, like I think like the this is the dark humor, or like the humor part in our presentation is just because like the language itself, like when we presenting like, oh, what we call our music, it's post alay music, was actually in Indonesia or even in the world, what is alay? You guys don't know. So the absurdism of the mistranslation of the Western see us as like living in the East, it's also like a big joke for us. It's like the part of when you guys sing us like as in exotic way, or when you guys like in the Western like misinterpretation of like what we said, like again when we saw Dosa Besar, everyone asking about the drugs, you know. And for us it's like it's a comedy. It's like mistranslation of you Westerners see us. So that's like the mistranslation we always use as our engine to use this like as a humor.
And the boredom also, like before we start this project, we always constantly sharing memes together. And the meme was like after a while, memes so centralized. Memes are so, I'm sorry, but white people, European oriented, you know, like memes about Elon Musk. Like who give a shit about Elon Musk? Or meme about Bill Gates, you know? And I could share it to Ichan, but I couldn't share it to my neighbors because they don't give a fuck about Elon Musk, you know? So again, to all this, the explosion of the technology, we start to checking this random stuff and then the random jokes that even fresher.
Sometimes
and I don't.
Yeah, sometimes
it's not even joke.
Too absurd. Sometimes it's too absurd. Like, you know, even for ourselves, like, you know, like when you see this composition of like someone wearing like a barong mask on the scooter and doing freestyling, like this must be like mistranslation all the way. Like for us, this is like, what the heck? Someone like already translate this to the next, like, this is not even culture. I don't know. But in like, this is like what I say, like in the Western, they're thinking this is like it's a
Contemporary
ritual.
art.
Contemporary art. That's kind of like you when you see us. There is one like when the article is actually really like keeping us to like give this playing in this certain game. When someone like reviewing us, like when we playing in the Berghain, like there is contemporary art video in the background, pixelating with, and when the Western media translate this, and me and Cass just like, here we go, this is our, you kind of finding like, fuck yes, like. So
No, because the video is in 3GP, of course it's pixelated. That's the thing. But like that's the beauty of the context. That's the beauty of the context that we really celebrating what of our main point is how people celebrate with their identity, even it's so chaotic, and they celebrate this thing in the most in the most way of what they have, like we don't really know how to translate it, but like simple stuff like there is one of my favorite video is this guy who having a huge swords, like it's usually for back then 200 years ago, that's for killing people. And then this one he using for cutting the hair, while his friends are making video out of it, and they just laughing, and I laugh, but it's a bit scary, like but also so the margin of what it's scary and what is funny was like really important, because that's what we feel also when in Dosa Besar video there is a guy like become a tiger, and this guy can literally jump on you if you're there and then maybe bite you. But from funny being tiger and then like really turn into violence, that's the I don't want to say it's psychotic, because psychotic is like really boring term, because it's not really medical condition or what I think, but like it's more like conditional stuff. So there is a lot of stuff like that that we really enjoy, that how especially mostly is the middle class people that I don't know, maybe you see also from our feed about the bike, a lot of bike, and the way they customize the bike, it's like it's more like decorative than the function. Like
True.
European gonna make it faster. No, we are gonna make it prettier. We don't care about fast, and we don't care about function at all, because it looks so absurd to the point that they carve the bike that it looks like a sword or like ornamental things. But it's already lost the purpose of what is bike. It's more like symbolic of what they have to show, and it's so beautiful for us to see that.
I think we're coming slowly to an end of the time frame that we were given, but I have one last big question. What is the future of music for you? If you can answer that, or if you have some stuff to say about that.
Well, for me, we already arrived in the future of music, I think, because we're so lucky that we end up in Kampala also, right, Chan?
That's the future, I guess.
like a future of music is when I think in the top charts of whatever chart Billboard, like none of them speaking English, but we're okay with that.
When you say you arrive in Kampala, I'm just making a note. You talking about Enyege Nyege Festival in Kampala, Uganda, right?
Yeah, I mean we're witnessing how amazing African scene without trying so hard to speak English or stuff. So my personal view, future of music is when there is no language anymore. It doesn't need to be like you speaking English or you write like formulatic music, like whatever Spotify algorithm. And I don't know, people just speak their own language and they play their own scale or their own music. from their home, but and we kind of see that in a really small scale.
Yeah, I mean, like the future of music, actually, like the music is translated towards like with the strong identity. Of course, you can tell like it's like the music can visualizing of the geographically, the music can translating what is identity, what the background of their life, what's the background of their culture. I think that's like this is really strong identities. Music, it was like a future music would be.
Okay, all right. And finally, like, so you're gonna, do you want to say something maybe about the live session that is coming up for Impossible Bodies Festival as well, or is there, or you don't know yet what you're gonna do? Or...
Well, we are in pandemic, so there's a couple of new material maybe we want to try to try to show. Yeah.
Cool.
And maybe our new material is not future music.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
And I hope we can meet again in real life soon.
Yeah.
Until you in the next backstage.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I hope you all enjoyed this small talk that we've had not so long ago, and that you gained some insight if you were already familiar with the music